Good morning, viewers. Welcome to the Talk Show program where we discuss issues affecting our nation. And today, our guest is Honorable Ahmad Kar, and he's a politician, a present politician in Gambian politics, a young guy that is so visionary towards our politics. And he heads the movement called the Tabak Reume movement. And it's a pleasure having you in our studio. And welcome to SS Media, Mr. Kar.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Colley. I am most grateful. I'm very happy. So my warmest greetings to the entire management of SS Media and my brother there with the machine and yourself. I am delighted. I am happy, and Alhamdulillah, I have to thank you for the initiative to bring me up to your platform here to have an interface with the Gambian people. So it's most appreciated by myself and my team and the entire Tabahrimi, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. We want to talk about Barrow's candidacy towards the 2026 presidential election. A couple of days ago, last week, they held the Congress at Jarasoma, where the Bob by force announced President Barrow as their next candidate for the upcoming 2026 election. Does this sound ring a bell into the opposition people's mind? And what do you think Barrow's candidature means for the Gambia in the 2026?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. It is very, very disheartening that Gambia will be almost at ransom in matters dealing with President Barrow's candidature. I think one of the biggest foul that we are doing to ourselves is not remembering or forgetting the promises that they have made in 2016. You see, many people that rallied behind them, and not actually because probably maybe they were mad with Jammeh for some other reasons, but because they have been with the former President Jammeh for too long, and of course wanted to see that there is a smooth transition, a smooth change. It is our belief that former President Jammeh have had his own vision. Over time, would have diluted that vision, right? Went through all his vision. So it was always very necessary, very important that we have new leaders to come to power so that to bring about an important shift in the way and manner government affairs is being run. Now, people need to remember that President Barrow, when he was coming to office, he made a promise to the Gambian people that he was going to serve only for 3 years and also in a new democracy that probably Gambia had been longing for, probably, like they said, that's what they said. Now, that turned out to be 5 years, then to 10 years, and today what we hear from them on a daily basis is about the privilege or the right to run for another term, counting down to 20 years. Now, what this is doing, it has ridiculed every other thing that they ever had said, right, on the past regime. In fact, what we are beginning to see is that probably, right, maybe Jammeh was more honorable than them in this situation. Because I cannot come and tell people that this man is not honorable. This man has a lot of buts, right? And I call the people to rally behind me, which they have done, right? And they did rally behind me, remove the person, and I end up getting to the same shoes or putting on the same shoes that the former regime put on. So Barrow's candidature, right? Of course, they are hiding behind the constitution, saying that the constitution does not allow him to go whatever. But also the same constitution provide provision for Barrow to resign if he wants to any minute. Sure. So there is no clauses, there's no clauses of the constitution that is asking Barrow to run for a third term. Right? It is just the same thing as any other citizen. So therefore, I think it is disheartening. I think it is it's going to be a very bad situation, bad precedence. And I also think it is not going to help. I don't believe in any way whatsoever that President Barrow and his team NPP can bring in any further good to the Gambian people. They have been here for 2 terms. In fact, people are crying more than they have ever done before. So actually, I believe that Gambians should start talking about this and to show our dissatisfaction right, in trying to see the MPP and their leader trying to get Barrow to serve for a third term. This is not good practice. This is in contrary to what we are seeing in recent days. And of course, trying to do so is posing or exposing the Gambia to so many security lapses. And I believe trying to force it through, doing it through, is going to be a selfish act, because they should consider the plight of the Gambian people. They should also consider first the security of the Gambian people. People rallied behind them and believed that they had to do whatever it takes, right, to remove the former regime. In fact, how many coup attempts had happened during the previous regime? This government, Barrow's government, did arrested people and have them tried for attempting a coup, conspiracies, and so on. So I think these are all, indicators that they need to listen to and they need to look up to. So I believe Barrow's candidature for a third term, it is unfortunate. It is not non-progressive. It is not good for the Gambia, and the Gambian people are not good for our generation.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Ka. You did mention about security lapses. You did mention about many things that were so genuine. But consider this: many people praise President Barrow for his tolerance, generosity towards the media, towards his counterparts in politics. Do you think, based on this reason, based on people praising him, do you think should be enough for him to consider running for an election again?
Of course, we cannot take everything back from him. Barrow did contributed in that level of political environment that's free, where people can express their opinion. Yeah, but it was not his job alone. It is the Gambian people that came out to see that they wanted a change. And the truth is, can Barrow do otherwise? No. Now, today, Barrow does not have any power to stop anybody from saying their opinion, speaking up. Barrow cannot stop me from speaking. Cannot stop any other party leader from speaking. Right? Look, there is always a new beginning. What happened in 2016 was a new beginning. That Gambians take up by themselves. And nobody is going to put Gambians in chains again. It's never going to happen again. Right? It's never going to happen. So therefore, yes, we are not going to take up all credit from Barrow. He is contributing. Do you understand? But if you look at it the other way around, we have seen, what we have seen in recent days, is trying to see the government to meddle with aspects of the media. We have seen certain media outlets being benefiting from opportunities from the government, when the objective or the agenda for government should have been giving support to all media houses, especially the younger or newer media houses that are being built up by the next generation, by the youth. And I think these are the ones that deserve, right, that exposure, that support, that financial support, help, and so on. Is it also? So if you look at that, indirectly, I think what they're doing is just, they understand clearly that they cannot suppress the people no more. They cannot suppress the media. So they are just playing along. So therefore, I don't think there is anything in this country that President Barrow had done, right, that should warrant him to contest for a third term. In fact, today, Gambians are crying on a daily basis. People are living almost in abject poverty. There is hunger in many parts of the Gambia. There is thirst in many parts of the Gambia. There is lack of health facilities, lack of healthcare in almost everywhere in Gambia. And I believe that alone, those signals should have been enough for President Barrow to think about relinquishing power, and MPP will get somebody else as their candidate come 2026.
Honorable, you did talk about abject poverty, you did talk about tests around everywhere you go into the Gambia. And at some point in time, one will have this opinion. Well, if Honorable Ka is saying poverty and test is the order of the day in the Gambia, somebody out there might say, well, I'm not sure all what he is saying has to do with anything regarding Barrow's presidency, because Gambia is an a capitalist state. And of course, we know means of production, distribution, and exchange are owned and run by the private individual.
Look, everything has to do with him. What happened is, this is a country, as is a state run in certain means, certain mechanisms. We have a constitution in place. The Gambian people went into an election after President Barrow made promises that one, I'll fight against hunger, against poverty, I'll bring you good governance, good democracy, I'll fight corruption. These were the promises that he made, and the Gambian people said, okay, for that being the case, we trust you and we're going to entrust ourselves, our country to you. And not only stopping there, the Gambian people every year, right, will contribute from their pockets, their hard-earned money, right, referred to as tax, and drop it into the consolidated fund, which they will take and hand over to the president with conditions. Use this wealth, create jobs, use this wealth, make sure people have enough to eat, use this wealth, create good health facilities, and so on and so on. So therefore, President Barrow in this situation is the alpha and omega, right? If some people are crying, if people are crying, or people are in very dire situations because of needs that they cannot quench, because of thirst that they cannot quench, therefore responsibility will go back to President Barrow, because he is the one that the Gambian people have entrusted with all the ingredients that are supposed to be used to create a good living standard and a life for them, not the private sector. In fact, even failures of the private sector also would have in a lot of ways got to do with the failure of the government decisions, because the government also again is supposed to procreate a vibrant private sector. Like I said, just told you, the time they were considering getting on media that will support or that will sell government activist ideas, they should have considered the entire media houses. If they cannot, then they look into those that need it the most. But some of the media houses that they've given it to, in fact, of course, are already making money from business. So therefore, then you see that whatever that befalls Gambians, I think it's a responsibility of the president, unless and until there are certain clear evidence that it comes out of a natural cause. But the president, of course, and his team in this situation are the alpha and omega, right, to the Gambian people and the life of the Gambian people. So the hunger, the difficulties, lack of healthcare, lack of security, all that people are going through on a daily basis is the responsibility of the president, but the sole responsibility also is entrusted to the president. Because even look at it, even ministers, why is it that the constitution provides that the president can appoint minister anytime he likes and fire them anytime he likes without consulting any other body, any person? That is so that people to understand that the entire administration is entrusted to one person, the president. But now the constitution provides, okay, the Gambian people have entrusted the country to you, their budget to you, right? The constitution whatsoever for you to protect the constitution. But if you see that you need help, then you can hire people that are referred to as ministers. And that is why you don't need to consult anybody to hire them. You don't need to fire anybody to hire them. In fact, you don't even need a reason to fire them. The person can just say, you know what, I think I brought you in, you have done what I wanted, now I don't need you no more, go. The minister doesn't have to do anything wrong to be fired for the president. So that is the kind of power that the people entrusted to the president, and which we need to understand, which we need to know.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable. Looking at MPP, they've just concluded their Congress, and as things are going right now, they're working both day and night and trying to make sure that President Barrow will win the 2026 election. Do you think Gambians have a future under President Barrow? What is the fate of the average Gambian, not politician, in fact, not a businessman, not civil society organizations, never mind about the journalism fraternity? What is the fate of that average Gambian man sitting, let's say, around the CRR or the North Bank or the Badibu, thinking that 2026, if Barrow wins, what would be his fate?
If Barrow wins, the Gambian people are going to see the bitterness of poor administration. What we are living today is a testimony of the failure of the government. But I can tell you, if the government comes back in 2026, what we would feel today will not be in any way whatsoever compared to what we will be feeling or will be seeing then or will be living then. Things are going to get terribly bad. There's going to be more and more corruption. And the evidences are, look at it this way. There is no preparation to provide Gambians with a better environment after 2026. Indicators would have been 2024 or 2023, if the government had come out to say that they have created at least 5,000 jobs, 2024 they came out to say, 2025 they came out to say, in 2024 they have created up 10,000 jobs, then there could have been hopes. Have we seen the installation of new companies? Have we seen the installation of new mechanized activities or farm activities? No. Things, so therefore, the little that we have will get dilapidated, will get old, and their performance will reduce as time goes on. So I can tell you, what we refer to as a struggling environment, a struggling health sector today, will be worse after 2026 under this regime. What we will call a struggling agricultural industry will go worse after 2026. Because as we are talking today, the government does not have anything planned to make things better up. They don't have money. In fact, you can see throughout the year, almost anything that they want to do, they would have to get out for loans. They will have to go out and get loans. So the government is not creating any situation or any avenue where they are themselves generating funds locally and in the way or manner of profit. In fact, they will get some income locally, but also in the form of loans, right? Locally in the form of loans. But I'm saying government is not venturing into any activities where they would invest and get way more than they invest that is in profits. And for unless and until the government can in the year make hundreds of millions or billions of dollars of profits from their own investment, we have not started being on the right track to ease the suffering of the Gambian people tomorrow. So I can authoritatively tell you that if in the Gambia, in fact, we will say God forbid, but if President Barrow would have to win elections of 2026, Gambians would then, after the election, start to see the real bitterness of a poor administration. And again, like you've talked about the NPP, people need to understand. Okay, my belief is the NPP has picked, like we teach in business organizations. When business start, they start, then they grow to maturity. From maturity, the next thing is that going down. That's where NPP is today. So they cannot grow any further, and they're not growing any further, right? It's going to go down, and there is nothing that is stopping that. Look, what is it that NPP will use to sell to the Gambian people by when we come 2026?
Honorable, I think that statement, if you did ask about what NPP will have to sell to the Gambians so that the Gambians will give them votes in 2026. And Barrow himself, anywhere he goes, he is proud of what he has achieved in the past years. He always talk about the infrastructural development and the bridge at Basse and other stuff. He also talked about, people's freedom. Don't you think that alone is a commodity that can be sold to Gambians and Gambians will give them power?
No. Freedom is almost out of it. One thing that Gambians don't know is to live under terror and fear, right? For how many years or decades that we've lived in this country, we are never as afraid as we are today. Yesterday you have seen, or 2 days ago, that in the heart of Kutu, armed robbers enter a bank, right?
Yeah.
In broad daylight. Before then, you've had it in Farafanya, you have had it in Jao, last year you've had it in Lubukebe, in many other parts of the Gambia. Nowadays, people would not even send out their children after 6 p.m. Right? And therefore, what we are living today is is in an environment of fear and terror. Now, why would you compare that? Living under fear 24/7, right? Would you treat that with having an opportunity to say whatever you feel like you should say? In fact, saying your feelings or expressing your opinions is a matter of must, and there's nothing President Barrow can do to stop it. He doesn't have any power to stop it. So that it's not like something that is in his hand that he could have done otherwise. Now, people now also understood clearly and realized. In fact, people will tell you in the street, you talk to people and they will tell you that they now have realized that they are not going to eat roads or bridges. You understand? In fact, the essence of the roads and bridges should have been to support a supply chain network. Like there should have been, government should have first invested, right, in distribution networks, in productions of goods and services that really needs to be distributed around country, right? Support exportation. It requires roads for accessibility and distribution, right? Organized importation, whatsoever it is. That is what the roads would complement. But now people realize that the roads is not doing any complement when it comes out to export, when it comes out to distributions of goods and services around the country. And again, people also realize that after all, it is not the roads that they will eat. And what comes out first is their survival and their security, both of which are not provided by the roads. So therefore, I believe they have failed, right, by thinking that the more roads that they inaugurate probably would give them a headway for a next election. No. What the government people want to see is decisions and policies that directly impacts on their lives, their well-being, that's their health, their survival, that for food on their table, you understand, and security, that's peace of mind and tranquility around them and their families. So therefore, if they would want to have a chance, they will have to redirect whatever policy that they make towards these things and not the road. So, and therefore, I am telling you, there is no time no more for the NPP from within 2 years to do efforts that will make impact, that will impact the Gambians through those aspects I'm talking about. From these 2 years, there is nothing they can do to alter the health infrastructure in the Gambia. In fact, because the Gambia doesn't have the money to do so.
The MPP will believe that they have constructed new hospitals in the provinces. Don't you think that is supplementary to their policies, that they are bringing health services to the average Gambian living even as far as Basel is concerned?
But you can see, just like you say, right? Whenever we want to talk about those sectors, we generally refer to them as what? Health services, right? And that's again where I am telling you that probably they may not understand what they're doing, or they're trying to fool the governments. What they are doing is health infrastructure. In fact, in that case, this one will not even qualify to be referred as health infrastructure, but health buildings. Now, how is health buildings going to impact on the lives of the Gambian people or the health sector? None. Now, what would have been making sense would have been health service. When you get to hospital, you will be serviced. Now, you have a health clinic wherever in the farthest part of Gambia, and here at the RVTH, which is the biggest, right, most equipped, right, and the central referral hospital of the Gambia, probably you would go there and you don't even have medication in return. Do you understand? So I think there are a lot of misplacement of priorities coming from the government. The health sector today is almost a joke in the Gambia, and something needs to be done. And I can tell you that they don't have time to do the right thing. In fact, they don't even have the plans in place to do the right thing. So therefore, I don't see in any way whatsoever what agenda the NPP will bring in 2026 that will sell off to the Gambian people to give them those massive votes to have another comeback. And again, whether they like it or not, their biggest challenge, if they know or they don't know now, their biggest challenge would be the candidature of President Barrow. They will even have a better chance if they get somebody else, right, as a political party to lead them. But the candidature of President Barrow will backfire on the NPP in a way that they would never have wished to see in their lives.
All right, Honorable, we've discussed about what the fate of the Gambians are as far as Barrow's candidature is concerned, and The next point that I want to draw your attention to is looking at the atmosphere of the oppositions in the Gambia. Many people will say, well, the oppositions in the Gambia are not even worthy to be given a chance because what others political commentators will be saying, it will be like, well, we have people with sound policies down there. We have people who are who have the institutional memory to run the affairs of the country effectively. But whenever they are given positions into the government, whenever they are given a chance, they fail. So others will be like, well, we have oppositions, and the oppositions themselves are not ready to embrace the change that they are preaching. Do you think that is a scenario in the Gambia?
There are two things here. Yes, there are many in the opposition that probably may not do better or different from what Barrow is doing, because almost the school of thoughts are the same, right? The school of thoughts are the same. You see, there are things that are very, very important, and these are the issues of generations and mindsets. Generations have similar mindsets. The way I think will not be very different from the way you think. Why? Because of the school of thoughts, right? We almost grew up from within the same range of age, right? We do the same games when we were young. We were brought up the same situation whatsoever. But some of the ages above, the way they think or they see issues about the country is different from how the way we see it. Do you understand? Example, I can cite a quick example. Among the elders, what comes out first is always masla, right? Uninenla. Do you understand? So we have to live by that quote. You cannot tell, the younger person cannot tell the elder that they are not saying it as it is, even when they know that the elder is not right. The younger person will have to kneel before the elder and apologize, even if the elder was the one that was wrong. But you know, today in this generation, that is not the code no more. Right? When you are the elderly person in the house and you have made errors, your younger brother or sister will tell you that that's not right to do. So that is very important. It has to do with generation. And I believe what will bring out a change, a transformational change, would only come from another generation. You understand? Another generation. Again, you are right. There are many politicians probably who are into the environment, who are in the environment, political environment, and of course, maybe priorities for them are the wealth or the gains that they can make in the political environment. But I still believe there are few others who are honest and who can bring about a transformational change. When it is about us, why will we be different? Is that one unique advantage that we have that is different from, example, NPP when they were coming, or President Barrow was coming in, is I know actually what I am coming to do in Gambia. I have that written down already. Do you understand? So I will not come to power and start thinking about what is it should I do with health. I already have a plan what to do with health and how to go about it. So I will not come at that position to start thinking about what to do with security, because I already have a plan. So it's just a matter of coming in, having my book on my desk, and start implementing from A to Z what I have on my plans. So, and I think that is also a unique difference. Like, you can remember when 2017, early 2017, when people start talking about President Barrow, you always say, I have people behind me. Yeah. And one thing that everybody need to understand, there is nobody in this world or in the Gambia that can do the president's job. And that is where a problem comes. Sometimes you'll see people will tell you, no, it's not the president because he's got some ministers, he's got advisors, they should have. No, they are getting it wrong. The ministers, the advisors, no one of them can do the job of the president. In fact, there's none among them that can take the vision of the president.
But they can influence the decision of the president. Another one.
They can advise. They can advise. But in fact, if the president actually knows what he's doing, I don't think they should be there to influence his decisions. Do you understand? They should only advise so that the president will see that yes, I have been given both sides of the coin. So the president will have a better understanding of what decision he takes. But in fact, the moment they start influencing the decision of the president, that's where the problem comes. right? Because that will now challenge the fitness of the president to run the state of affairs. So therefore, one thing fundamental is the president being somebody that is in the seat and being in charge of the seat and make the decisions. Now, example what I was saying, when we come to power, if I have a minister of health, right, I will now tell the minister of health what I want for the health sector. Not the other way around, and we tell no, health sector should look like no. I bring you in to help me do what I believe is good for the Gambian people. Because when I was going around doing my campaign, I told the Gambian people what I thought was best for them, and they bought it and they voted me in. So the minister is not coming to influence that. The minister is coming to help me do that. As things are not like that, we are never ever going to be in the right footing. So therefore, the biggest problem, the biggest challenge that we are facing is the president or the head of state not efficiently, effectively, and 100% in charge of the roles that the Gambian people have entrusted upon him.
All right, Honorable, I want us to delve into the economy of the Gambia, looking at frequently we have seen escalation of food commodities, and now that the Ramadan is coming, I mean, things are getting higher and higher. Do you think that escalation of food commodities has anything to do with the presidency? And if yes, what do you think should have been done that is not done?
Exactly. It all comes down to the presidency and the policies of government. Right? Look at it this way. They are serving in their 8 years now. Right? We were told since they came in 2017 that every year they identify 5 hectares. Right? That is one farm. They have it irrigated and it produces legumes. Then by this year, we would have had 5 times 8, 40 hectares of what? Legumes. Would that not have eased the challenges that we will face during Ramadan? It would have. Do you understand? It would have. So the resources of the country is entrusted to the government, and that's them, headed by the president. So prioritizing where to put the resources of the Gambia is their role and their responsibility, and it comes out from them. So therefore, if there are misplaced priorities, example, just take an example, they have spent more than $1 billion in buying only cars. If $1 billion was spent in irrigation system around some farms, don't you think by Ramadan, legumes would have been very cheap to support the Gambian people? And that's a misplaced priority. After all, what is those cars? What benefit are the Gambian? The Gambian people will not have any benefit, not even $1. You spend $100 billion, you spend $1 billion, and there is nothing in return, not even a single bullet for the Gambian people. What is Gambian people going to benefit from those cars? Nothing.
So in essence, you are saying like we have, I mean, the government has spent onto something that they are not gaining from.
Irrelevant things. That has no benefit for the Gambian people. Take an example again. Every year, how much do they pay themselves on travels? What are they getting in return from the travels? Nothing, absolutely. Right? They have even increased budgets for entertainment. Right? For the State House. Why would you spend hundreds of millions of dollars on entertainment? How is that impacting Gambian lives? No way. And I can tell you, I can go on and tell you so many expenses that the government does on a daily basis that is not bringing forth any impact to the Gambian people. The president is just from amid the people talk, mid the farmers talk, is it not? Yeah. Are farmers not crying about getting money for their groundnuts, their peanuts? Then what was the essence? Right? In fact, that they were spending about $30 million a year, now they have increased, or they're about to increase to $50 million a year. But after all, what is that benefiting the Gambian people? So it's a misplaced priority. So I can give you a list of so many activities that government puts so much money into, and in return there is no impact on the Gambian lives. So I am telling you, if those monies were directed to situations where they will impact on Gambian lives, then of course, obviously, things would have been better for Gambian people. So this is not actually what they're doing, and it is a sorry state.
Okay, Honorable, I want us to talk about this point. You've mentioned about the meet with the farmer store. In fact, there was one time that I staged a program on SS Media TV that we are going to look into what Meet the Farmer store is all about, and if it is fit for purpose, if Gambians should continue going in for government should continue going in for it, or if they should remove it from. But one thing we need to understand is like Meet the Farmer store is a provision of the Constitution. So, do you think pumping money into Meet the Farmer store is a misplaced priority?
I'm not saying that it is not good for the president to go around and meet the people. But why is it a misplaced priority? Why is the money a misplaced priority? Because the way they spend the money and how they spend the money and what they do about the period is always all misplaced priorities. Because in fact, while they are on the tour, the president does not talk about farmers' problem. What they talk about is MPP problem. Is that not so? How is MPP related to the farmers? So this is the problem. So therefore, instead of using the avenue or the activity to relate to farmers, then they use it, right? And again, why in the first place? This happened during the Jawari regime. There was a reason. Then we don't even have VHS. Much more talking about SS media. Is that not so?
Yeah.
Then at that point in time, it should have been a right, the Gambian people as farmers, to see their leader. So there was justification then. But today, what for? How many times will the president go around the country without meeting the farmer store? 1,000 times. Whenever he's on break, where is it? Every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, he's in Mankamakonda. He's going there. Is that not so? He's not going to, every now and then, he will go to families, friends, visiting everybody in the country. So that is no more any more problem. And I can tell you, it's easier to meet the farmers through media than going to meet them throughout the tour. How many Gambians will Barrow see? Or how many Gambians will see Barrow? Right? Not even 20% of farmers. Do you understand? Because he can target only certain communities and go to those communities. And period, that's where you end. So he is not going to see with even 20% or even 10% of farmers. Right? But again, even if there was a day that is dedicated to the farmers, call it a farmers day, where the farmers union will bring their team and they will come to meet the president, where all other farmers government pay out probably, invite all media houses in the Gambia, that particular day is dedicated to them, even media report is dedicated to them, engage with the media to see that is done. Will there be any farmer that will not get the direct interface with the president? Everybody will have had the direct interface, and it could turn out to be cheaper. And again, in fact, what you would have spent to do it, you can now even spend in the media and support them. Is that so? And you'll be killing two birds with one stone. So therefore, I am not saying that the president is not supposed to go and meet the people of the Gambia. Of course, that's a good thing to do, right? But they have to make things very clear, right? They don't have to go to meet the farmer to benefit the farmer. In fact, they have not met the farmer and give them any benefits, right? They've met them not long ago, went around meeting the farmers not long ago, and today the farmers are all crying all over the country because they can't get money for their peanuts. Then what was the essence? Because what they, in fact, they went around, they have not given the farmer any good news. They told them they're buying the groundnut the same price that they used to buy, that they bought it with last year. And in fact, when the government clearly understand and know that the farming season this year was very bad, right? So all farmers had, like those that had 100 kilograms would have 10 kilograms this year. So of course, that alone should have warranted the government to increase prices for peanuts. Is that also? But again, they maintain it. So after all, they've gone down farmers. What benefit had that produce? And again, look at the cost. Vehicles, damage and repairs, fuel, right? Lubricants. Now you talk about allowances for the drivers of government. You talk about all the government offices whose cars that they take to join Barrow, right? You talk about those people, the cost of not going to work in their own institutions, right? So if you the $30 million we're talking about, it is the direct cost, but the indirect cost or the cost that is unaccounted can be up to more than $100 million. Can make budget up to more than $100 million. Because if you are working, example, let's say SS Media is a government institution, and they came here and took two of your cars, two of your drivers, you understand, and take them along tour. How can do they substantiate the cost to your organization? Maybe those vehicles could have brought you a lot of income within that 1 month?
Yeah.
The drivers themselves. So have they substantiated the cost to the organization? No. So therefore, the 30 million, this is just physical cash that we can talk about had been spent. But again, the unsubstantiated cost would be way more than that is provided by the budget.
All right, Honorable, we've gone a very long way into these discussions, and you are bringing in issues that are very much important. The next point that I want to draw your attention to, we have talked about the economy and now the security-wise. You've mentioned about people living in fear into this country. You've talked about robbery. You've talked about people robbery and other stuff. But at one point in time, the NPP government will say, well, during our time, we've recorded not more coup plots like during Jammeh's time. And some time ago, I remember, was it 1 week or so, Sabali was at Nemban, and he was like, the youths are happy from the Fonyan Nemban and other stuff. Don't you think security-wise it is a collective responsibility from both the government side and the public and also the private sector?
The kind of security situation that we're living today, I will not clear it off from the public, but I say if the public had anything to contribute, it's not going to be more than 1%. The problem of security in the Gambia is a government problem. We have to remember in 2016, when they're coming in, it was the government or the allies that told the Gambian people that the security we have in place is not fit for purpose. Is that not so? And in fact, they do not even stop there. They make sure economic came in, right, and stayed. Right? So the government is telling you that economic stays only because they don't feel or they don't believe that their own security or men in uniform, right, can do the job, or would be the appropriate team to be on the job. Right? If they had trusted them the way they should, then they would have allowed them to resume their duties 100%. But as I'm talking to you up to today, when the president is out, those you see surrounding him are not even putting on Gambian uniform. Do you understand? So now take it this way. When President Barrow was elected as president and was sworn in, he gave an order to the Gambian Armed and Security Forces while in Senegal. I want you to understand this point very clearly. To understand whether the Gambian men have not been loyal to the president. They have been 1,000% loyal to President Barrow. Right? When Barrow was issuing out an order that he don't want to see any single one of them in the streets carrying arms, that they also go and confine themselves within their bases. President Jammeh was here in the State House. Do you understand? Former President Jammeh was here in the State House. And Barrow made that order while in Dakar. The entire armed men and women, the entire forces, all subdued without questions, without anything, to the president's order, and that's President Barrow. So what kind of loyalty do you want or expect from those people anymore? They have given it up 100%. Right? Now, when they came in, they have talked about the need for security reform. That is still something in the wild. We haven't seen any significant step, right, around the security reform that we talked about, that they made promises. So therefore, if security is a challenge today, it is the responsibility and as a result of the dull and bad policies, right, procedures and decisions that have been taken by the current government. That is what leads us here today, right? Security is a challenge in Gambia today, and it's unfortunate, but we got to say it is a challenge, and we want it to improve. We want to see that people are secure. We want to see that people can go about their businesses at any point in time. Every single day or two, you hear about somebody being attacked or being killed in their own houses, right? So something, and like, if we were seeing the government doing efforts, then we will understand that yeah, they're doing the right thing, or they're trying to take the right step.
Honorable, you've talked about security reforms. You've talked about, they mentioned security reform to us in 2017, and now you are saying we have not seen anything. What were you expecting from them when they talked about security reform?
Yeah, I would have expected that they would have launched a thorough investigation in rebuilding with objective of rebuilding the security. They would have gone down to the security again and probably re-educate many that are in the security. But what service mean to the Gambian people? What service mean to the constitution? What service would mean to them as individuals?
Talking about education, you've said they should have educated Gambian people and those security men. I want to believe that nowadays, if you want to join the police, they are giving out a requirement that you should have at least 5 credits. And don't you think that that is enough education that the security services needed? Talking about the army, both the army, the police have changed their mode of recruitment.
No, that's not good. That's not good enough. Yes, that can be good enough to enter, but that's not the kind of education that we expect from them afterwards to serve, right? Because that is the basic that everybody has. But everybody understand. Like example today, if you went out today and you see a man in uniform fighting another person, you'll be disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you disappointed? Because you expect that particular man with uniform should always bear the highest respect, esteem, manners in societies. Do you understand? So that's where the difference comes. The expectation we have on them is different from the expectation we have on any other person. Why? Because the job that they have is to uphold the law. They should protect the law, they should uphold the law. So they should lead by example. Now that would only be given to them by another kind of education. And that education now will teach them how to serve, what it means to put on the uniform, what should be your relationship with the people and what you do. In fact, look at it this way. To many other people, the job they are assigned to, we are not expecting them to give their lives. They will not sign that when the need arises, they can be asked to do something that will kill them. You don't see them in any of the civil service, other civil service, except the forces. Do you understand? So that also tells you that there is a big gap when it comes to training and when it comes to understanding, but also to the love of country and also all of that. So these are people that are supposed to be supported in many ways whatsoever, right? And this is the security sector reform will not only about how to call it, educating them on those manners. Yes, that would be, but in fact, even looking at the salaries that they are paid, allowances that they are paid, the support that they are given as people that took that sacrifice to serve us, right? All of these things should have come as well. But again, all the challenges, there are certain things that exist in the society should not exist in the forces. Example, the issue of tribalism, the issues of tribes and families. These should not have any room, any space within the armed forces, within the forces, right, of government, right, the security forces of government. So therefore, then again, you will see it is the security sector that should have come in and diluted anything that relates to the issue of tribalism, families, and so whatsoever within the security forces in the Gambia. But again, since it has not been put in the right way, right manner, it should have gone through. Since they have not exhausted that the reform in a way and manner that would have taken care of all these challenges that we have made mention of. Therefore, then again, now the security in place, right, may not, according to the government or in the eyes of the government, be able to do the job that they would need them to do as usual. And that is why, of course, they have economic to continue to stay. Yeah, that's why they have economic to continue to stay. And that's why, again, the president still feels that he is safer in the hands of other people.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable. We've talked about security. We've talked about improving their living standard, their salary, and their services they are rendering, and also bridging that gap between the security and the entire population. Now, I want to shift your attention to our education system, and many people have criticized our education system. In fact, in our last episode of the talk show, our guest did delve into issues about our education, calling it a failed system. What is your take on our education, and do you think it has any reflection to how we are governed?
But again, it has a huge connection with the failure that we have in our economies and all of that. And look, education is set up for a reason, right? Like I said in our own program, when we come to power, inshallah ta'ala, one of the first things that we do about education is trying to engage through the Ministry of Education, the West African Examination Council. Because I believe the curriculum that we're subjecting our children to needs to be revised. Right? It has to be. Otherwise, if they cannot do it, we will go ourselves. We will go and do it ourselves. But we cannot continue teaching the same things right to our students. We know, look, times has changed. The world has changed in a lot of ways. Therefore, education sector also should adjust to reflect that. Now, take an example. When would Gambians start learning about skills? Do you understand? So, what other worlds are doing, or other countries around the world are doing, is what they subject their children to learn is skills. Is that so? Because when they have skills, they can create, they can do a lot of things themselves, create income for themselves, right? But I can tell you, even when you go to the highest learnings of education in the Gambia, the universities and the colleges, right? They are not giving extraordinary skills, right, to serve the economy. Do you understand? Yeah. You don't do a degree in whatever, right? In small business creation, entrepreneurship, right? Design and whatever. You don't have your degrees in around those areas, right? You don't have your degree in content creation, and these are things that are now giving people platforms, creating wealth for people around the world. How many hundreds of millions of people are becoming millionaires through TikTok? So therefore, they're through YouTube, through Facebook. What for content creation? Then don't you think we should have an education sector that should consider that? Because that industry can create more jobs than the government can do. Is that so? Yeah. So this is the way, and this is what education should serve us. Instead, an education should be able to alter, should be able to support people in behavioral approach and so on. Why are we talking about rampant corruption all the time? Because we are not taught through our education sector that corruption is not a way to go by. Right? So if you want to mold people, you subject them to the kind of education that will bring them in line to the aspirations and the dream of the leadership and the government. Government will have a direction. Right? Today, just go out here in the streets. The first Gambian people that you meet, ask them, what is the direction of the government? They cannot tell you. They cannot tell you. If you tell them what is the direction, what is the vision of President Barrow, can they tell you? They cannot. They cannot. Just after take your mic, your how do you call it, your camera and go in the streets. The first 10 Gambian people you meet, ask them this question: what is the direction of our government? They will not tell you. What is the vision of the president? They will not tell you. And there should be a direction, there should be a vision for the president, and that should be supported by the education sector as well. That vision, right, is what you now inculcate in the curriculum in the education sector, so that you now direct all Gambians, everybody towards the same direction. Over time, we build up. Over time, we gain momentum.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Kai. You've talked about education, and it's interesting to know that our education system should reflect on.
We have to do whatever it takes to make sure we start feeding ourselves, and by the time we've done that, we will be independent.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable. You've talked about how Tabac intend to modernize the agricultural sector. But also you've talked about what the failures of the current president, the current government is, what the failure of the current government registered in the agricultural sector. And the next point I will want to talk about is the justice system. And recently we've had a Minister of Justice calling, announcing that they are ready to try the ex-president. And don't you think that statement by the Minister of Justice don't you think that statement by the Minister of Justice is giving the NPP government more credit and perhaps making them feel, well, we have an opportunity to be re-elected into office? Because many people, the CSOs, that is the civil society organizations, and some victims of the ex-regime are calling for justice. And if the ministers will go back out there into the media and make that statement, don't you think he is already buying the mindsets of the Gambian people that, well, come 2026, give us the election, give us your votes, and we will try Jam.
You see, Gambian people need to wake up to understand that there is a lot of hypocrisy, right, that is going around government. Let me just give you examples to understand that I don't think the government of the Gambia is truly, even when they try Jame, I don't think they are doing it truly for justice. Do you understand? These are different things. They have started this process a long time ago. In fact, it started with the Jane Commission. Is that not so? They went and investigate Jame's assets. When they were done with their investigations, what came out of the recommendations? Right? To implement the recommendations, what they did was, anybody who was aligned with the president were forgiven. Those that were not aligned with the president were penalized. In fact, Mahmoud Sabri was one of those penalized because he was with the UDP. But that was not even with the UDP. Yes, he was not with the UDP. He was not with the Barrow administration. But now, after he had changed on that and go to the Barrow administration, what happened?
He's been forgiven.
He's been forgiven. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And that relates to Jame. Now, you come to that commission, Jame's wealth. Nobody can tell you much about Jame's wealth. Do you understand? In fact, the 2020 audit report, the Auditor General is telling you more than $700 million was raised from the sales of Jame assets. And when they go now to do their audit exercise, they were not given documentations that they need to do the exercise. They were denied those documentations. You see my point? Now, look at it another way around. They said that they will not inform Gambians about those who bought Jame's assets. Why? Because some of them that together came to power are beneficiaries, or their families are beneficiaries. So what they said Gambia took from the Gambian people, they said it belongs to the Gambian people, they distributed among themselves and their families, and now they say nobody is ever going to know. Look at it this way, there's a lot of differences between NPP and UDP now, is that not so? Right? So therefore, but still nevertheless, NPP is not going to release that. Now, if you look at the Jane Commission, therefore, then with all these irregularities, unfortunate situation, was it about bringing justice for the Gambian people? Was it about their personal gain? It was for their personal gains.
So, in a sense, you believe that they did that to defame Jam?
Probably something, but anyway, they did it to benefit themselves, and that's what they have done. That's what we have seen. You see, what I'm just trying to put across is Gambians need to wake up. There are two things: trying Jame for justice, right? Or issues about Jame relating to justice, but also another way, trying Jame or issues relating to Jame that are being done for political gains. Do you understand? Now, after all that, it is President Barrow and his government who came and said former President Jame was a bad person, he had done a lot of wrong things, and so. Is that not so? What was that they did? After they have said all of that, put up the Jane commissions. What comes after? President Barrow left Banjul and went to President Jame to kneel down to seek for his support. These are things that Gambian people need to start asking themselves. Do you understand? After all, President Jame is the leader of APRC. With all this thing happening, President Barrow and his regime and his people said it was done by APRC regime. What did they do? They went for APRC party and have it a coalition with them. You see my point? Now, after I come to the TRRC, right? There are a lot of regulations that comes to the TRRC. What do you think they should have done now? Right? Is to bring President Jame, former President Jame, and say these are the allegations against you. What's your version as well? Do you understand?
So you believe he should have been given that chance?
I believe that should be done even before he goes to court. They have an opportunity. If he denies it, then Alhamdulillah he did. We know he denies it, right?
Then you can proceed to.
Then you can proceed. But what I'm just saying to say, so that there is justice, you have to factor in fairness, right? Whoever gets what they deserve. That process at the end of the day, because one thing is very important, and that is the people trusting the procedure. You want justice for the Gambian people. You have to make sure the Gambian people trust the procedure. And how will they trust the procedure? So that you make sure the procedures all are in the right way and manner that the Gambian people would have expected it. So what I'm just trying to put across is, if the minister says that they're going to try Jame for crimes whatsoever, it's their decision to take. They are the government. They are in charge. They are instructed with the leadership to do so, right? One side is what I'm afraid about, and that is they have shown us numerous evidences that in some aspect of their deliberations or deliveries, justice is not sought, right? And therefore, because of their political gains, they are denying Gambians, probably, who believe that they need justice from former President Jammeh and his regime. They're denying them that, right? But again, do not also deny the former president what his constitutional right or privileges. If he's got any right constitutionally, any privilege, right, as a citizen, give him all of that. Do you understand? That will ensure fairness, so that whatever comes tomorrow, people can trust it. Otherwise, nothing sensible, right, is going to be the outcome of all the activities, right? So therefore, they can talk a lot. They have been talking a lot, but I don't see justice in the procedures that they have been taking throughout their deliberations.
All right, Honorable, thank you very much. Now I want to shift your attention to Tabakh. Recently, not long ago, you conducted your Congress and you've discussed about many things that Gambia is facing under President Barrow and what Tabakh intends to do should they be voted into power. Now, the first thing that I want us to discuss about is Tabakh ready to go into any coalition with any opposition party? And if yes, what are some of the factors that that party should have before they go into coalition with Tabakh?
Yeah, as of now, our concentration is running for president. And inshallah ta'ala, we will run for president. But like you also asked, it's a very important question. Along the way, right, we will not deny to work with anybody, right, who seeks the same thing that we are seeking for. But something crucial or important for us is we have a principle. And we will not align with anybody who does not stand by those principles. You understand? Example, issues of good governance, issues of jubal, as we have it in our own motto, right? Issues of transparency, right? But also absolute love for country. These are very, very important issues for us. Accountability, probity, transparency. You must have presented clear evidence that this had been your way of life, this had been your way of operations over time. Then such a people or such groups, of course, we can have alignments, right? To bring powers together and make the needful. So yes, we are in the opposition, but that doesn't mean we can jump into an alignment with anybody. We have our principles, and under no circumstances are we going to compromise those principles. And inshallah, we are hopeful that we would, inshallah ta'ala, run for elections by 2026.
All right, you've mentioned about your readiness to work with any political party that is in ally with your principles, that is what you feel, your vision, and also how you want the Gambia to be run. And shortly before you walked in, we were discussing about, of course, I was discussing about Sane. I did ask him this question, which I'm going to ask you again. Many people out there has this feeling that we have the opposition, of course, very vibrant men in the opposition sector, but incumbency is always winning in Gambian politics and in African politics because the oppositions themselves are not organized in a sense that everybody wants to be president. So in essence, some people will feel like, well, oppositions in Africa and oppositions in the Gambia are interested in the presidential seat, but not the interest of the Gambian population. Do you see this reflecting into our opposition as a country, or do you think that is a false information with regards to oppositions in the Gambia?
You see, my brother, there is one thing that they talk about and want to make people to believe they are wrong and people should not accept it. Things like we don't need to have so many political parties. Why? If the constitution says so, why not? Right? So those that are saying that are the few that have held the Gambian people at ransom over a long period of time, and they are worried, they are scared. But if there are many people at political parties coming in, there will be some among them, right, that will pass the test that the Gambian people are looking for. And what will happen? Those that were at the top will end up being at the bottom. This is what some of them are afraid about. Right? So Gambians, although secondly, need to want to be the president, because that will give the Gambian people an opportunity to be able to save a lot from the chaff. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, that will give them an opportunity.
Yeah.
The reason why we have failed to get it right is because the options are not enough. And they are also not different. So if the options are almost not enough and they are not different, then whenever it's just going to look like you always take 6 and replace with 9. It's not going to be different. So therefore, it is important for people to come out and want to lead the country. That's important. Secondly, if people see that what is best for them to be able to sell their ideas to the government, to the people of the Gambia, is about creating their political parties, let them do so. After all, the platform is open. It just gives Gambian more opportunities to be able to sieve out what they believe would be the best. Right? Yes, would be the best. So, secondly, I don't believe that the messages are not clear as they're supposed to be. Again, the region here today, that's in Gambia here today, sometimes people would say like the opposition would have to come together as one, otherwise they cannot do much. These things also I don't believe in. Right? Yes, the organization that the opposition needs is not having to compulsorily come as one. You see, those that are saying that could even come from the side of the government. Like the last time, that pastor, they said, that guy from Nigeria, that he saw a change in 2026, but opposition will have to come together as one. Who will tell you that that is not even orchestrated by somebody who supports the president or who supports the regime? Because you know one thing is very difficult, having the opposition as one. So if you make the government people believe that without opposition they cannot even in there, you're going to kill their streets.
So basically, you are saying like that is a mind game to.
It's just a mind game. Now, who voted Barrow? It's the Gambian people.
Yeah.
If they feel like that is not the right idea for them, who's going to stop them from voting him out?
Not throw him out.
Who throw him out? So those are not actually true. They are not real, right? It was an opposition that removed former President Jammeh, right, in 2016, right? And it was not one opposition.
It was a coalition.
It was a coalition, but also there's another opposition. Is that also?
Yeah.
So it was not the opposition who came as one. There's no, in fact, if you look at the number of votes and the percentage that the other single opposition had, that tells you they significantly played a very big role.
Yeah, very big role.
Is that also? So therefore, then what happened was people saw the need that there was a change. Right? Take this example. The coalition of Barrow that won elections in 2021. Do you believe that all the parties that jumped there, they contributed enough? All the parties that haven't contributed anything, almost, other than their votes and their family votes. Is that so? There are at least 1, 2, or 3, not more than 3 or so, that have immensely contributed in terms of votes. Right? Yeah. So they just therefore use the name. 6 of the parties are together. That does some public, some campaigns, some mind games. Right? But look at it this way. I can tell you more than 60%, right, or more than 50% of Gambian voters are not members of political parties. So the majority of Gambian voters are not in any political party. Right? And evidence are during parliamentary elections, during local government elections, what percentage of the voters turn out to vote? Do you understand? Why? Because a lot of people will not come out to vote because they don't support political parties. And when it's time for president election, they know because they are part of this making they come and vote. So I am telling you, the majority who decides elections in Gambia, they are there in their houses, waiting for the right message or right opportunity to do the right thing. And I can tell you, they are way bigger than any political party in the Gambia. And therefore, when they speak loud and clear, to whoever's favor that is that they've spoken to, that will obviously emerge as victory.
Yeah, that will obviously emerge as victory, and the message is clear. And now, Honorable, I want us to talk about Tabah Rewmi, and before we take leave of you, can you talk to us about Tabah Rewmi? What is Tabah Rewmi about, and what are the plans of Tabah Rewmi towards the Gambians? What are the plans of Tabah Rewmi towards the Gambia, and also what are the plans of Tabah Rewmi towards the Gambia's relationship with the outside world?
So Tabah Rewmi is in effect, and then like you said, what is Tabah Rewmi? It is a wall of words meaning building the nation. Now there is one thing that we have understood clearly from the beginning, that what Gambians used to know is parties are named as AAA or BBB. Now, how many Gambians usually even knows what that AAA means or that BBB means?
So if you should conduct a survey here, you ask Gambians what the meaning of PD.
Good. These are challenges. Exactly. They will face challenge to tell you. And this is why, another reason why many political parties fail in one way, and that is being able to build an ideology where they can tie their own people or their own supporters. Do you understand? But now, when we say Tabah Rewmi, whoever you tell to the name, they will immediately make their understanding, right, about or in what that you are calling them to join.
What name?
Right? Because you tell, okay, sometimes in fact, you just tell somebody, say, okay, what is the name? Say, you Tabah Rewmi, say, lolu mom lu bari. And they start telling their own idea. So you see, it brings about that understanding between ourselves, right, as leaders and those that are coming to us members.
So in essence, it's like people feel sense of belonging.
Sense of belonging. Immediately you talk to them, they see that sense of what? Belonging. To the other people also, it brought about acceptance. Right? Because it is our agenda also to fight issues like tribalism, corruption, tribalism, nepotism, and things like that. Right? So even whoever probably is from another language, dialect, and struggle to say it, by doing that you are accepting another group of people. Do you understand? So therefore, this is what we believe that Gambia needs to start adopting. Right? Putting up our political parties in names that are understood by the Gambian people. So that when you go to them and you start talking to them, I'll tell them, this is Tabah Rewmi, we are calling to Tabah Rewmi. Tabah Rewmi means they will see it clearly. Right? They will see it clearly. So that is one. Secondly, we have targeted a different, like I said, it is about a generational thing. We have targeted the youths in most cases. And in fact, our membership is growing by the day. And it is also probably filled with youth membership. Now, why are we doing that? Because we know there are a lot of changes, a lot of things that need to be changed. We have to start rethinking, redoing things, reshaping things. And therefore, that requires people that would have similar mindset with you, but also people that probably are eager to test new waters. Do you understand? Most of the elderly, the most elderly, they already have had it their own way. And they have passed that stage where they would have the luxury to try to reshape or rethink or redo or retake decisions that are crucial about their lives. But we have the opportunity because we have time to do that. Right? So therefore, this is why also we target that. And again, we have in our slogan that whoever we call, right, we're calling them in what? Jub or Jubal. In fact, in some station people tell me, oh, is that not from Senegal, from Paste? I told you, no, that's not from, that's not, yeah, I told you, no, that's not from Paste. Paste started to say or sell the idea of Jubal Jubanti during in fact, after their presidential elections. Then also, after their presidential elections, because it was positive the patriots. After the election, now they say now they have won. They are coming to bring three things: Jubal Jubante. When we was registering our own, right, with the registrar in September of 2023, right? In fact, they have even stamped on that paper that have our motto. When we say our motto, Jub at Jubal, we have Jub at Jubal, and we have accountability, probity, and transparency. So the first is Jub at Jubal, then we have accountability, probity, and transparency. So therefore, then you see, in fact, that's why I used to say to many others, I say, Alhamdulillah, that we can always show you that you see even the government in charge of registration of companies had stamped on that page that explicitly tells Jub at Jubal as our motto since into 2023. So you see, after all, the thing is, we are all youths, almost of the same or similar age range.
Yeah.
We are the same people. The culture is the same. The religion are the same. The manners and behavior, everything is the same. It's the same people. All those that are thinking in certain ways would have similarity in mind or the way that they think.
Yeah.
You understand? But again, like you said, most about him, that's our motto, right? And then this is what we also call on Gambians at all point in time. Whenever you call Gambians, tell them we're calling you to make sure that the life that you adopt, the motto you have, the code you have for your life today, is in anything you do, you make sure there's Jub. Also, there is what? Jubal. Make sure you follow the due course, right? But also, in the decision you take or actions you take, you make sure you follow the right path. So, therefore, this is like it. So, we have a lot of plans for the Gambian people. Like I talk about the health sector, like I talk about agriculture, I talk about education, and so many others. Inshallah ta'ala. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Honorable Ka, and before I take a leave of you, what will be your final advice to the president? Oh, before that, in fact, I have one last question. This was a question given to me by my dad yesterday that the moment your guest is about to leave, do ask him this question. You've talked about, or you've diagnosed the lapses of the current presidency, and you've diagnosed the lapses, what it will mean if the president should be re-elected in the office. Now, should MPP come out and approach Mr. Honorable Ahmad Ka that we need you to be our flag bearer? Is Honorable Ahmad Ka really ready to accept that challenge from MPP?
That challenge from MPP.
Yeah.
I think MPP is a very there's a lot of people in waiting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in waiting there.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And like I said, to us, it's about principle, and the principle matters so much that we always go by the dictates of those principles. What I'm saying now, for me, you see, I believe President Barrow should do whatever it takes, right, to make sure he leaves power. That there is a lot of gain for him in that. There is a lot of honor and dignity for him in that, right? And NPP should get somebody else to come and lead their political party and go to election. Do you understand? Go to elections. We have a huge project that we want to do for the Gambian people. And I believe, of course, like you said, there are many people there that are waiting for that opportunity.
They are waiting for that.
Yeah, so, you know, but actually what I'm just saying, I believe, to be very honest, if I were to advise the president, I would tell President Barrow to please make sure he do not contest 2026. He try to take his retirement nicely, right? And continue to be a state's elderly person.
A state man.
Right? Because the risks are too high for him. If he forces himself by contesting elections and he's voted out, that will be shameful, right? And in fact, he's already a president, right? So it's not like when he's voted 2026, he's going to become a different person. He's already president. You are there already. So the risk is not worth it. One. Secondly, there are also other risks for the Gambia that, of course, he should not put his own interest or his own whatever before the security of the Gambian people. So I believe what he needs to do today is to try to see how there will be continuity in their party, right? And then he looks, and I believe, to be very honest, I believe that yes, people would say that Barrow is going to be the president here and there, but I don't believe President Barrow will run for elections. Yeah, I don't believe that. I believe he's going to make the right decision or the right thing, which is what to see that some to step down and somebody else continue.
Your final note before you leave SS Media. What will be your final advice to those that will be voting for the presidency? Because there is this slogan in the Gambia that is, well, I vote in the presidential election because I have a connection with the president, or because my father is a subscriber to NPP, or because I am this tribe that we are the majority to the NPP, or if I should give my vote to Honorable Ka, perhaps UDP will win, or they will win with I don't want. What would be your final advice to those people thinking that we're having that ideology of not voting for a political party that they have, let's say, that that they don't support, but because they are voting because they don't want Mr. X to win.
Well, those are natural in politics. Those are natural in politics. You see, like we said, usually in politics, there are a lot of relationships that happen, and sometimes these relationships can, in one way or the other, influence decisions of people. You see, there is some responsibility that political parties and political leaders should bear. You cannot say that people should not vote for A only to deny B. You are B, and you say it's not fair for people to vote for A to deny you. If you want to say that or have the authority to say that, you have to be very mindful about what you sell. You understand? You cannot make yourself to have the opportunity to say whatever you want to say, whether it's good for everybody or whether people will see okay or not. Do whatever you want to do, and you say people are not going to judge you by that.
And therefore, then you don't expect them to change as well their behavior. So protest voting is a normal thing. But of course, I believe I would urge Gambians, especially the youths, to see to it that the kind of political system we have in place need to improve, need to change. And for that being the case, they should now start listening to substance. You see, we are politicians. All of us talk to the people. But to the people, when they closely listen to what we say, then they will realize there are some who spoke out from their chest, right? And some who only spoke out from their tongue. Right? They can always do that differentiation. Those that you connect to, do not vote only because you believe, right, my vote may not send you there. No. Over time, if you believe in somebody's ideology and you stick there, over time you continue to multiply one by one, someday you will make the numbers.
Yeah, you will make the numbers.
And the change will come. Yeah, but I believe there should be change, especially the youthful generations to come into power now. And the Gambian people need to listen to that and support that ideology.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Ahmadou of Tabarewi. You've discussed about many issues with regards to the fate of the Gambian towards Barrow's candidature in 2026 and what Gambians should do. And you've also talked to us about Tabarewi, what Tabarewi have in mind, and what to expect from Tabarewi should they contest in the 2026 presidential election. And thank you very much, viewers. That is all time we have for I've been your presenter, Colley, and you can follow our TikTok page to follow, like, and share. And this program will be aired on Monday around the hours of 5 to 6. And until then, until we come away next time, you have a wonderful day.